What is brain fog?
People are really surprised to hear this. It's not a diagnosis. It's a symptom of something else.
So if you're struggling with brain fog, don't be scared to go and speak to your GP.
All it takes is 3 months on and your memory improves. If people got their checked on a regular basis, they can reduce their risk of dementia by 60%.
Does flossing prevent dementia and Alzheimer's?
If we had a pill that did for the brain what does, we would all be taking it.
A very warm welcome to No Appointment Necessary. I am Cherry Healey.
And I'm Dr. Amir Khan. I work up in Bradford, but you can catch me and Cherry here every week on this podcast.
So make sure you hit subscribe so that you never miss an episode. And we love it when you share and comment. So go forth.
We really do. And if you haven't already, join our Facebook group. It's so much fun on there. Lots to say. We love all your comments, so keep them coming too.
For this week's check-in, we're going to be talking everything brain health. We're going to be covering brain fog, Alzheimer's, dementia, and how you can look after your brain. For this episode, we're brought to you in partnership with Randox Health and their Everyman and Everywoman health checks.
Now, the Randox Health Everyman and Everywoman check measures up to 150 biomarkers, giving you a complete picture of how your body's really doing. Regular blood testing is one of the best ways to spot potential risks early, so you can make those changes and support your long-term health. And they're quick to do. You'll even get a follow-up test 6 months later, so you can track your progress and see the difference your lifestyle changes are making. And for this, there's no GP referral necessary.
And if you're a keen bean and impatient like me, you'll get your results in just 2 hours from the test hitting the lab. Use the code NAN15 to save 15% on your Everyman or Everywoman health check until the 27th of January.
Just go to randoxhealth.com.
So this week's check-in is all about the brain. It's such a complex, fascinating, mystical, I'm going to use the word mystical organ. And I'm going to start by asking you about something I think a lot of people are talking about, brain fog. What is brain fog?
So brain fog, people are really surprised to hear this, is not a diagnosis. It's a symptom of something else. It's most commonly associated with menopause and perimenopause because that's where women feel it for the first time in general terms. But it's also associated with lots of other things. So if you suffer from mood disorders, depression, anxiety, you could get brain fog. Sleep issues, that can cause brain fog. Even if you've got things like chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, a symptom of them
What is fibromyalgia?
brain fog. Well, fibromyalgia is a chronic, really complex condition which affects the way your nerves interpret pain, and you get widespread pain, you get brain fog, you can get extreme fatigue with it as well. It's a really complex condition.
What is going on inside the brain that creates brain fog?
It really depends on the cause of it.
Let's do perimenopause
Let's
first.
do that one, yes. So what people worry about when it comes to brain fog is this brain fog or is this what we call cognitive decline, where their memory is disappearing?
Absolutely. It's really, really scary when you start to feel it.
Have you had brain fog?
A little bit. It's not my main perimenopausal symptom.
The reason it's called brain fog is because it feels like a thick mist has descended inside of your head and it's really hard to think clearly, focus on things, get your words out, all of those kind of forgetful symptoms. The difference between brain fog and perhaps dementia-related cognitive decline is that the cognitive decline with dementia progresses over months. So things get worse and worse and worse. With brain fog, it often comes and goes, particularly with the perimenopause, because estrogen levels are all over the place. And estrogen plays a key part in the brain and the way the brain functions. So estrogen is what we call a neuromodulator. So what that means is it helps manage messages within the brain. So it helps the rate at which synapses or neurons in the brain send messages. It helps with how much energy the brain is using as well, and with just general health of the brain, the blood flow up to the brain as well. Estrogen helps with all of that. So when your estrogen levels are high, perhaps before the menopause, everything in your brain is happy and working normally. Now the perimenopause hits and that estrogen fluctuates wildly. Right. So when it's high, your brain is thinking clearly. When it dips, then you get into that brain fog. So 1 minute you could be thinking clearly, the next minute you forgot what you were saying.
I think it's very scary when you experience that. And when should someone go to the doctor?
I would always say if you are worried about your memory at any age, you should go and see your GP. The reason why people put it off, and in my experience when I speak to patients, is because they are worried about a diagnosis of dementia. But there is a long list of treatable causes of memory loss. So when a patient comes and sees me, I will ask them questions about their short-term and long-term memory. So are they forgetting things that have happened recently, or are they forgetting the names of people, places, those things that should be lodged in their long-term memory? But then I will think about things that I can treat. So really common things that can cause memory loss is iron deficiency, B12 deficiency.
Really?
Yes, really common. And all it takes is 3 months on iron and B12 and your memory improves. Same with thyroid. An underactive thyroid can cause brain fog. Put them on 3 months of thyroxine. Yes, it's a long-term treatment, but in that 3 months, things really start to improve as well. So there's lots of different causes. We'll look at your cholesterol as well. We'll look at your blood sugars. Loads of tests that we will do to decipher, is this a reversible, treatable cause of cognitive decline or brain fog? And that includes the menopause. Or is this something that needs further investigating?
What happens when you're postmenopausal and your estrogen levels have really, really dropped? Let's say you decided you don't want HRT.
Yeah.
Is brain fog inevitable and you just have to live with that for the rest of your life?
It varies from woman to woman. So most brains will get used to that lack of estrogen being there and they will adapt like brains do.
That's so clever. What, your brain figures out how to live with that lack of estrogen?
Yeah, it will do. So we know this term neuroplasticity, where the brain adapts or changes to experiences or the environment around you.
Hang on, your brain can change?
Yeah, totally. And your brain can grow new brain cells too.
What?
Yes.
Neuroplasticity?
Yeah.
So does it regenerate? Like the liver?
It doesn't regenerate because you haven't lost that part of the brain. It can just grow. So certain parts of it, people see it perhaps with stroke or head injury people in terms of regeneration. It's not really the right term, but one part of the brain can take over from what that damaged part of the brain has been doing up until that point. That's a form of neuroplasticity. But also learning a new skill. Let's say you're learning to play the violin and as you practice and practice and practice, that part of the brain grows stronger and that is how you get better at that. That's a form of neuroplasticity as well, or learning a new language.
So if you're struggling with brain fog, points to note, don't be scared to go and speak to your GP because it could just be something really simple like iron deficiency or sleep deprivation.
Totally.
Really interesting. So do go and speak to someone.
And your mood. We can't put it all down to the menopause. There's lots of different reasons that can
blame
be.
the menopause for everything. It's such a dick. I couldn't get a car parking space. It's the menopause. Menopause is against me. I agree completely. So yes, menopause, perimenopause can contribute to brain fog and memory problems.
Yeah.
What about the other ones that are really scary that people are worried about? Dementia and Alzheimer's. What is the difference between dementia and Alzheimer's?
So dementia is an umbrella term for usually cognitive decline associated with age. Not always, but it's cognitive decline. And there's lots of different types of dementia, of which Alzheimer's is the most common and the one that lots of people know about. The other one is vascular dementia. That's when you have lots of little strokes over time, and that can damage your brain and lead to cognitive decline. And there are lots of other rarer causes of dementia as well. But Alzheimer's makes up the vast majority of dementia, and that's the one that most people worry about.
What is Alzheimer's? What is going on inside your brain?
So there's several things going on inside of our brain all at once that contribute to our risk of Alzheimer's. So the first thing is the buildup of a protein called amyloid. It's a plaque. Now, we all deposit this in our brains most days. When we sleep, our cleaning fluid, the glymphatic system we call it, comes and washes away a lot of that amyloid plaque.
Glymphatic system.
That's a great
word,
word,
like
isn't
our
it?
brain car wash?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
it turns on at night
when you sleep.
When you sleep, and it gets rid of that plaque.
It cleans your brain.
Is that why sleep is so fundamental to health?
Yeah, one of the biggest reasons to get a good quality sleep is that it does reduce your risk of dementia. But the thing about this protein, with people with Alzheimer's, it becomes stickier and it sticks in between your brain cells. So it obstructs the messaging process between the brain cells. Now, that's the amyloid buildup. The second thing is another protein called tau that lives inside of our brain cells. Now, with Alzheimer's, this protein normally helps our brain cells send messages to each other.
Right.
And when it's working well, they're sending messages all lovely and happy. But in Alzheimer's dementia, that protein becomes tangled up within the brain cell and it reduces the way those messages are sent. Now, that buildup of both of those proteins then causes your immune system to think something's gone wrong. So it sends up immune cells to your brain and tries to clear this up. But it's a bit like sending a cleaner to a house who is really good but over-enthusiastic and ends up breaking everything instead. Oh. So your immune system contributes to that extra inflammation inside of your brain. And then the final thing that's happening is there is a neurotransmitter, so a brain chemical which helps with messaging, called acetylcholine. And what we found with people with dementia is that they have less of that as well. And over time, that leads to memory issues, personality changes, and loss of function. Some people will have lots of amyloid buildup but not have Alzheimer's dementia. That is why the tau is probably the most telling thing when it comes to symptoms.
Is there a cure? Is there anything you can do? And what about genetics? How do they play a part?
There are lots of things we can all do to reduce our risk of dementia. So I always say, whatever is good for your heart is good for your brain. So exercise is the movement
Good
is the
old
key
exercise.
thing. You know it.
Our best friend.
So any type of exercise is good because it stimulates blood flow up to the brain, and that gives the brain lots of nutrients to work with and use as energy. Exercise also stimulates something called BDNF, brain-derived natriuretic factor.
What's that then?
It helps with neuroplasticity. It helps with more brain cells taking over the jobs of other brain cells. So the more of that you have, the better, really.
So exercise gives you more of that thing,
Yes.
what you just said.
Yeah. And you know what? In terms of brain health, if we had a pill, because you were talking about what pill can we take?
You know I love a pill. Come on, there must be a quick fix for this.
If we had a pill that did for the brain what exercise does, we would all be taking it.
Wow, it really is the absolute best way
Yeah.
to prevent. What other things can we be doing?
Sleep helps with the brain function, but it also cleans the brain and it moves those amyloid plaques out of the brain. Food is the other stuff. There is such a thing. You know how your mum says this is brain food? There is real brain food out there.
That's not a myth.
No, it's not a myth. There's
What
food.
is good brain food?
Okay.
What does my brain really love?
I say this all the time. Whatever's good for your heart is good for your brain. Omega-3 fatty acids.
Right.
A lot of the brain is made up of healthy fats. And omega-3 fatty acids are one big component of that. Our bodies can't make omega-3 fatty acids ourselves. We have to get it from our diet. So the quickest and easiest way to get it is from oily fish. If you're vegetarian, walnuts, chia seeds, flax seeds are also good. Loads of people in the UK are omega-3 fatty acid deficient, loads. And we don't talk about that enough. So we need to, if you're not getting 2 or 3 portions of fish in your diet a week, you need to be on an omega-3 fatty acid supplement.
Thanks to you, I've got a really weird walnut addiction because I saw on your Instagram reel that you said that you eat them every day.
Every day.
I am like a weird cult follower and you're like the weird cult leader. I'm like, oh, he says eat walnuts, must buy giant sacks of walnuts.
Social activity and new experiences are good for the brain. The brain loves a surprise. So
That's really sweet.
The brain loves a surprise.
That's so cute.
It is. It loves a new experience, a new book, a new place that you visited, a new person to talk to. The brain loves that.
I love meeting new people.
Yes.
That's good. Okay, good.
Now, the other 2 things that I encourage everyone to do, first of all, get a hearing test. Now, I know that sounds weird. Hearing loss in midlife, so that's between 40 and 60, has been associated with an up to 4 times increased risk of developing dementia.
What? How?
Yes. Because what happens when you lose your hearing. And people go, well, I'm not deaf. Well, actually, just a little bit of hearing loss could be associated with it. Because first of all, you might not engage in conversations because you can't hear them and you can become socially excluded.
Right.
But the other thing, when you've got hearing loss, whether that's partial or full, what your brain does is divert energy to that part of your brain so you can focus a lot on the hearing, and that comes at the expense of other parts of your brain. So over time, that increases your risk of dementia. And it's the same for sight loss. Don't worry about wearing glasses. Just put them on if you need them. So get your hearing checked regularly. I am 44 years old. I wouldn't think I need a hearing test. I think I can hear all right, but I still go for a hearing test every 2 or 3 years. Same with my eyes.
Does flossing prevent dementia and Alzheimer's? I mean, it sounds insane, but is it true?
It's true. It doesn't prevent it. It reduces the risk.
How?
It's incredible. So oral health is so important to your general health. So if you have good oral hygiene, there's less plaques, there's less bacteria. So plaque buildup in your teeth, that inflammation can cause, not inflammation just in your gums, but it causes chronic inflammation everywhere, where your immune system is fighting something all the time. Remember, when you've got plaque buildup there, your immune system is constantly going at it to try and help reduce your risk of infection and that plaque building up. That causes chronic inflammation in your body. And remember, one of the risks of dementia is your immune system causing chronic inflammation. Now, the second thing is, if you've got poor oral health and gum disease, bacteria can get in there, and bacteria can go from your gums through your blood up until your brain.
No.
They can. And that, again, triggers an immune response and chronic inflammation too. It's the same with heart attacks and strokes. People with poor oral health are at increased risk of heart attacks and strokes because of this inflammation that it causes.
That is absolutely mind-blowing.
I know.
So one of the healthiest things you can do is one of the easiest.
Yeah, floss every night. And the final thing to manage your risk of all dementias, including Alzheimer's dementia, is manage your cholesterol levels, your blood sugars, and your blood pressure. I always say, and I've said it before, everyone over 40, get a hearing test, but also buy a blood pressure machine and check your blood pressure once a week at home.
Why did those things help prevent dementia?
So if you've got high blood pressure, that puts increased strain on the blood vessels and they can stiffen over time, so reduces the blood flow up to the brain. Cholesterol, again, can build up on your blood vessels, narrow them, and high blood sugars associated with higher insulin levels, which can cause chronic inflammation. And what you want to do is keep your inflammation down to the bare minimum.
How do genetics play a part in your brain health? Because I think for some people, they've got Alzheimer's maybe in the family.
Yeah.
They get some brain fog and they feel really scared because they don't want to get that diagnosis, avoid going to the doctor.
Yeah. So it is true that if you've got particularly a first-degree relative with Alzheimer's dementia, it increases your risk. By how much, we do not know exactly, and there isn't a direct genetic link. We just know there's an increased risk.
So it doesn't mean that you are going to get it at all?
No, absolutely not. And what I would say to people, and I've said this a number of times when they say, well, my mum had Alzheimer's dementia, I'm absolutely terrified that I may get it as well. This is when, in your 30s, 40s, 50s, you focus on your movement, your sleep, your food, and your stress management. All of those will significantly reduce your risk of getting it, particularly if you've got family members with it.
How much of the likelihood of getting dementias is to do with lifestyle and how much is to do with genetics?
If people looked at how much they were moving, how well they were sleeping, what food they were eating, stress management, and got their eyes and ears checked on a regular basis, they can reduce their risk of dementia by 60%.
60% is actually huge.
Huge. And what Alzheimer's research has shown us is that globally, we think almost half, 45% of dementia cases can be prevented through those lifestyle measures alone.
That's both very confronting and very empowering and encouraging.
Yeah. People are so worried about dementia. I'm worried about dementia.
Absolutely.
Every time I forget a word, I think, oh my God, have I got dementia? But we have it in our gift to reduce our risk. And it's important we make time for the health of our brains and for the rest of our bodies, because all of those things will help with everything.
I think it's really lovely, actually, and encouraging to know that there's stuff that we can do. And look, if life happens and it happens, at least, you've really done everything you can. I think you'd kick yourself if you thought, I didn't do what I could have done. I read a report recently that said that 2 out of 3 Alzheimer's sufferers are women.
Yeah.
And they used to think it's because we lived longer. But now they're thinking that it might be the drop in estrogen during perimenopause.
Yeah.
What do you say about that? Because I read it on the social media.
No, that is right. 2 out of 3 cases of Alzheimer's dementia are women. And in terms of lifetime risk, women have a 1 in 5 chance of getting Alzheimer's, whereas men have a 1 in 10 chance of getting it.
So it's huge amount more.
It's a big difference. Now, there's a number of reasons we think this is the case. And the focus is think, because they're all theories. Age is one of them. Women do tend to live longer, and age is the biggest risk factor for dementia. Genetics plays a part as well. There's a variant or an allele of a gene called APOE4. And what we know is that if women are carrying that variant of that gene, they are more likely to get Alzheimer's dementia than if a man was carrying the same gene. We don't quite understand why, but that is the case. But you're right, hormones play a part as well. But there's also lifestyle factors that are specific to women too. So remember I talked about stress, anxiety, sleep. Women carry a lot of responsibility that perhaps men don't. And I'm generalizing here, but that is usually the case.
We are amazing.
You are amazing, 100%. But we also know that lack of sleep because you're worrying about something, or you've gone through the menopause and you can't sleep because of hot flushes, all of that increases your risk of Alzheimer's too. So I think it's a combination of all of those things that increases the risk of dementia in women.
Do you know what's really stressful? Is that stress creates more stress, and then it's actually really bad for you, which makes you feel more stressed.
Yes. No, it's true. It's true.
You sit there feeling, oh my God, I'm really stressed, which is really bad for my brain, and that's going to make me more stressed.
I always feel one of the most unhelpful things I can say that I always say is stress management. I always say it to my patients as well. And they look at me and go, well, what do you want me to do?
Now I'm stressed about that. Yeah. If you are stressed and you really want to lower it because you do want to look after your brain, how do you reduce your stress really easily?
Going out in nature, that's my favourite thing.
Love that. I love your Instagram posts of ducks.
Yes.
In the morning, you're like, good morning.
If you spend 10 minutes in nature, it really reduces your cortisol levels. If you go out first thing in the morning and get morning light, and I know it's dark in the morning right now, but whenever the sun comes up, it significantly improves your body clock, all of which reduces your stress hormones. So morning light, nature, listen to the birds. There's real science behind it.
Why does stress hurt your brain?
Stress hurts your brain by increasing cortisol levels. So your brain is linked to your adrenal glands through something called the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal pathway, the HPA.
That is a longie.
It is. So you've got a part of your brain that controls a gland in your other part of your brain called the pituitary, and that goes down to the adrenal glands. The adrenal glands make cortisol, your stress hormone, and then your cortisol levels shoot up. That causes your blood pressure to go up and your heart rate to go up, and your stress brain chemicals to go up as well. All of that over time will increase your risk of both vascular dementia and Alzheimer's disease. Now, we all need cortisol. It helps regulate our metabolism. It helps us get up in the morning. And when we are short-term stressed, it's good because it puts us into that fight or flight response.
Right, here we go. Here we go. This is what we're doing.
Exactly that.
Got a deadline.
The problem now with cortisol is that we all lead very stressful lives. Whether that's scrolling on the phone, your work-life balance, all of that is just right up there, like not how we're supposed to be, not how we've evolved. And that has led to our cortisol levels being persistently high. Cortisol stimulates your immune system to make inflammatory cells called cytokines. Cytokines cause chronic inflammation all over our body. And remember, chronic inflammation is bad. It puts your immune system at high alert, so that can increase your risk of diseases that are caused by an overactive immune system, like thyroid disease, perhaps, or endometriosis is now thought to be an autoimmune condition. Lots of things, rheumatoid arthritis, all of these things that are caused by your immune system overreacting. And you can see that in your mind's eye. If your immune system is constantly poised on high alert, it doesn't take much for it then to overreact, rather than one that's like chilling and relaxing and then comes into play when it needs to.
So managing your nervous system, going out into nature, making sure you're taking nice big breaths, screen breaks.
Yes.
Holidays.
Yes, please.
Taking weekends off and actually really taking down all of that, weirdly, all the fun, nice stuff. Going and looking at ducks in a pond.
Yeah.
Which I know is your favourite.
My favourite.
That is actually really beneficial to our brain health.
What we need to move away from is this idea that being a workaholic is cool. Right. I'm married to my job. Brah.
And it's the busy. Everyone loves being busy. We're actually...
And that mindfulness and that time to relax doesn't have to be on your own. You don't have to disconnect from everyone. You can go with your family and chill out there. You can go and see your friend for coffee. That's chill out time as well, right? So I quite like combining things that are good for your brain. So switching off from work or screens, going to do a social activity, something that you enjoy. And if you combine that social activity with a bit of movement, like a walk, you've got like a really good thing.
Do we know a lot about dementia? I mean, there's no cure, is there?
There's no cure for it, but there's lots of research going on in terms of getting drugs to find a cure. And there are medications out there that can slow the progression down. However, what I would say, even though women make up 2/3 of the cases of Alzheimer's dementia, a lot of the research historically has been done on men. And a lot of the symptoms that we recognise in dementia are those that typically present in men. You don't look surprised.
It's our old buddy misogyny.
There's a term for this in brain health. It's called neurosexism. So we know a lot of the brain stuff, all that research applies to men, and then we just apply it to women and hope for the best.
Because we're just small men. No, we're not. We are physiologically very different. So that's really interesting. So most of what we know about the dementias is based on men.
Yeah.
And actually, it affects women more than men. What is a red flag to watch out for as a woman?
So the thing to look out for is the steady decline in your memory. So we're not looking for these one-off episodes where you're a bit forgetful or, you forgot where you put your keys, but then you remember where they were and you remember putting them there. The analogy with the key thing is like finding the keys in the fridge, but not even remembering how they got there. That's the key difference there. Common things I ask my patients is, have you ever left the oven on and gone off to do something and forget you've done it? How regularly is that happening? Have you forgot to lock the door as you leave the house? Because again, that is something we all it's ingrained in us, in our heads, to lock the door before we go. And have other people noticed your symptoms? That's the other big one. And are they there all the time and getting worse? Remember, brain fog generally fluctuates with hormones. So you'll have good moments and bad moments. With Alzheimer's dementia, it slowly creeps in and gets worse and worse.
Why would you even get diagnosed if there's no cure? I don't know if I'd want to know.
Because there's support. So a cure is one thing. There's medication to manage the symptoms, but also support, knowing what you have and doing those things that reduce your risk can also reduce the progression of it as well. So all those lifestyle things, but also you might want to do as much as you possibly can when you're as well as you can be as well. Right. So I do think having a diagnosis is really important. Not knowing why your brain is declining is one of the most frightening things. So I would always encourage someone to go and see their doctor.
Is it inevitable that our brain is going to decline with age?
Absolutely not. So forgetfulness is not a normal symptom of aging. You can be very sharp right up until your old age. However, forgetfulness can become more common as you age. So, the occasional, I forgot where I put my keys, I forgot where the remote control is, did I remember to lock the door? Every so often is fine with aging. It's when it happens all the time, gets worse and worse and worse, and other people notice it. That's when it becomes a problem.
But you can stay cognitively sharp as a tack up until the day you die?
You certainly can. And what I would say to everyone who wants to be as sharp as a tack, learn something new regularly, honestly. And it's so much fun. I know it sounds like it might not be fun, but even something really simple like cooking from a recipe in a book that you've never used before is a new skill that stimulates your brain. Remember, the brain loves a surprise.
I think we need to treat our brains like our best friends. Give them a new treat, give them a surprise, give them a walnut, give them some oily fish.
Yes.
Let them go to sleep.
Yes. Stop smoking, reduce your alcohol as well, all of those things.
Look after your brain like it's your best best friend. Dr. Amir, that was absolutely fascinating. Yeah. Brain health is so interesting. Yeah. Well, it's your favourite time and my favourite time.
My least.
ChatGPT. Maggie says, my mum thinks I have cyclical vomiting syndrome. Never heard of that. And my trigger seems to be when I get a cold or sore throat. Most people just get the usual cold symptoms, but I get them plus being physically sick. That's so horrible, Maggie. I don't know if there is a treatment for it, but it really means coughs and colds become a real problem. Oh. Maggie, that's so not fun.
Maggie, I'm really sorry. Yes, that is a real condition, cyclical vomiting syndrome, usually triggered by infections, and you have an over-response to it. We don't have a treatment for it. I'm so sorry, Maggie. But what you can do, if you haven't done this already, is speak to your doctor about getting some anti-sickness medication at home. So when you know you're going to be sick, before it actually gets there, you can take one of these tablets and stop that kind of nausea feeling from developing.
Maggie, I really hope that helps. All right. Do you have a lovely little health hack to complete this episode?
I do. I know we talked about walnuts earlier, but the other big food that people should be eating, I would say every day for their brain, are berries. Yeah.
Love berries, really?
Yeah, they're so good. So not only are they full of fibre, but they also have a magic ingredient in them called antioxidants. What antioxidants do are clean up our body's free radicals. Free radicals form when atoms lose an electron. I know that I'm getting all sciencey here.
Love it, bring it.
But whenever you're doing something like whether you're exposed to the sun or exercising, anything that can increase your risk of inflammation somewhere, atoms lose electrons and become free radicals. Then they ping around our body and can cause damage to our DNA. I always think of them like one of those, what are those things called, the ball machine?
Pinballs.
Yeah. So they go around our body, can cause damage. Antioxidants from berries follow them around and neutralize them and reduce that risk of DNA damage that they can cause.
Who knew blueberries were so aggressive?
Yeah. It's like,
wow. They look so great. They're actually quite violent. Thank you so much for tuning in to No Appointment Necessary. We absolutely love hearing from you. So if you want to get in touch, all the details are in the show notes.
See you next week. And remember, no appointment necessary.